Welcome back to Cape Media News. I'm Lauren Williamson. The DY Regional School District has been putting the final touches on the FY25 budget this month. But due to what administration is calling a perfect storm, initial projections had the operating budget coming in at just over a 9% increase. Since then, the administration has made additional cuts to bring the increase down to 6.7%. But the select boards of both Yarmouth and Dennis are still not happy with the numbers. Take a look.
So, I've talked about multiple times about this idea of sort of a perfect storm, these factors that have been influencing the FY25 budget. The staff-related contractual obligations and cost of living increases that are associated with extending our school day in pre-K through grade 8. The second is that the district post-COVID for the last 2+ years, the district has received a significant influx of what's called the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, or ESSER for short, funds. These were funds that came directly from the federal government post-COVID that have supplemented a lot of our educational needs, a lot of the staffing needs in particular. And these funds are all coming to an end at the end of this particular fiscal year that we're in right now. And then everybody has seen upward inflationary pressure in their household. Schools are not exempt from that upward inflationary pressure. We've seen them on transportation. I already talked about salaries. We see all the same things that you see on housing, food, et cetera. Our staff see those same pressures, right? And in order to keep and retain staff, we need to adjust salaries accordingly. And then the fourth factor that was added in our last presentation is we got our state aid information, and David was holding a conservative number, and the state aid information on the governor's budget came in lower than we had anticipated.
The amount of money that we've reserved for the school budget increase in the DY district so far has been $971,210. That's a 2.5% increase. Now, that leaves a shortfall balance for Yarmouth of $1.7 million, roughly, a little over that. And in scouring our budgets, one of the issues that comes up is that we've also reserved an increase, same percentage, for the Cape Cod Tech budget. Now, their assessment has come in just under $300,000 less than what we've set aside for them. So I would propose first and foremost that the town of Yarmouth has the ability to increase the contribution above the 2.5% that we've reserved by $300,000. And that is from the funds that we have left over from the Cape Cod Tech reserve that they didn't need. So it doesn't come out of public safety departments or anything. And in addition, I think it's critically important that if we're addressing a big part of this problem comes from the loss of these federal funds, that what we're looking for from the school department is a step-down use of their own surplus, which they generated, quite honestly, as a result of having those extra ESSER funds in. If you recall, last year we had a level of the excess and deficiency fund in the school district that was at a historically high level, in excess, in fact, of what the state allowance is. And in addressing that, we partnered with the school department to create a stabilization fund for capital for the school of, it was $2.2 million that they kept in their stabilization, which they have now.
I think we have to bring up that dreaded word that nobody wants to use, is compromise. We're going to have to compromise here.
And so I don't see how this goes without some kind of override. And the question is whether or not we're going to even be on the same page as that. There needs to be a lot more dialogue, a lot more discussion, a lot more interaction among the key players to get us to that point. Right now, I'm not optimistic. I think we're very far apart. And it's going to take some heroic efforts to try to turn the situation around. It's like watching a slow motion train wreck.
I stated, I think that one of the consensuses from our board was that we had hoped that the school committee would use some of their, I'll call it free cash, I forget what they call it.
E&D.
E&D, thank you. Oh, Brian, I should ask you. Use some of their E&D.
Let me help you with that.
Yeah, use some of their E&D to lower the number, which is what our board had requested, again, consensus-wise. So, I kind of agree with Jim. I mean, we can weigh in on something and they don't even want to talk about it. So I think we wait and see what they discuss and then talk about it then.
Yeah, I'd like to see us keep an open mind, and also maybe it's time to collaborate with Yarmouth as the two boards, the two select boards. Maybe it's time, once we get the final number, to set up a meeting between the two boards. We support them and they support us, and we support the schools. But it has to be a collaborative between all three people, and I think that's what we need to look for, is a collaborative working relationship between the three. And comments from school committee members that say, I don't care what the finance committee says, I don't care what the board of selectmen say, are inappropriate and are very antagonistic towards, I believe, this board and the finance committee. So I think we should be looking to maybe have a joint meeting with the two boards once we find out what the numbers are.